There we go. Now you can hear me. How you doing today? Well, I'm determined to finish this manifesto. I feel like I almost have a deadline. Monday, 7/24. I just think I have a deadline to get all this out publicly, whatever emerges, whatever is triggered by the manifesto as I read it. I feel like that's the plan. That's the deal. Not that anyone told me. I'm just, I guess telepathically they did. And I'm just doing it in the nick of time. I'm always late and I'm just getting it in on time, huh? Just last minute. I'm always last minute. And they know it. I don't know. I guess I need to have this in by Monday. Which means I'm going to be doing a lot of lives today and tomorrow. Because this is a long document. I don't know what page I'm on, but we're going to get right to it today. I'm not going to dilly-dally. I know that I usually do. Let me get it so it's smaller. And of course I'm going to make it larger to be able to see it better. Let me make sure I have everything. Nothing's cut off. Okay. Excuse me. Wow. All right. It's 8:45 right now. I just kind of put this together at the last minute, and I'm ready to go. My dogs are not walked. Or fed, but well, I probably should have fed them, but they'll be fed soon enough. And they walked in the middle of the night last night, so they can hold off on the walk for now. They're listening to me, and I can't say that word very often. WALK. All right, let's get down to work. I guess we were here at 10 years old. This is what is where it was left, my scrolling. I'm just trying, I should have made sure before I started this. I'm sorry. Yeah, decade it was. I remember that. Okay. Okay, yeah, we already read this. Okay. I'm sorry. I forget where we were. Okay, yeah, we went through all this. All right, I'm thinking I was in the middle of this. All right, so I'm thinking I must have been in here. I might start right here shortly after my 5th grade year began, because all right, I'm going to start at the beginning of this. Yeah, I remember that. Okay, I'm just going to start at the top of this page, which is page 21, okay? And I'm going to get right to it now. For the first week of 5th grade, I was at Mother's house. I considered myself to be very cool by now. I had gotten better at skateboarding. I had blonde hair, and I dressed like a skateboarder. I felt great anticipation for what the cool kids would think of me once they saw my transformation. To my disappointment, no one really cared. They were all in their own worlds. I don't remember any kids showing recognition of my new coolness. Eventually, I was regarded differently than I was in 4th grade, which I became content with. The cool kids talked to me more, and I started hanging out with them during recess and lunch. When my Father's Week came, I felt frustrated because I didn't have enough cool clothes there, and it took a while for me to get Father to find the time to buy some for me. Mother always got me what I wanted, right when I wanted it. At Mother's house, all of my needs were met with excellent precision, whereas at Father's house, there would always be a time delay because Father and Sumaya had less time for me and paid less attention to me. I'm pretty sure we read through that much. Shortly after my 5th grade year began, my mother decided to move out of the red house to a small house in Woodland Hills. This new house was located on Topanga Canyon Boulevard near Dumitz Street. Father's house was just up the hill from there, so it was practically walking distance to Father's house. I would miss the red house despite its smallness and the fact that I had to share a room with my sister. I had some very good times there. This new house was more convenient. It was still a 2-bedroom house, but one room was big enough to be split in two. And so by having a wall built in the middle, my sister and I each got our own room. Okay, good idea. As I got better and better at skateboarding, my mother made an effort to take me to a skate park every week. I don't think I read the previous paragraph, but I seem to remember something like this. By now, skateboarding wasn't just a sport I was doing to copy the cool kids. I was truly interested in the sport. I even had hopes and dreams of becoming a professional skateboarder. That became my life goal. I love skateboarding so much. I pictured myself doing amazing tricks in front of a cheering crowd, just like I saw Tony Hawk do in some videos. I pictured the admiration on their faces, and it was awesome. The skate park my mother took me to was Northridge Skate Park, and she would take me there every Friday. Northridge Skate Park was an average-sized outdoor skate park with fine wooden ramps. First, we would have dinner at the Northridge Mall, and then I would sign up for the 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. session at the skate park. That sounds like a really great routine. I usually went alone, but after a few weeks of going, I made a few acquaintances there, and people knew me. This became a Friday tradition during Mother's Week. That's nice. On the following Saturday, James usually came over for a sleepover. They would play Nintendo 64 games like Tony Hawk's Pro Skater and Donkey Kong late into the night, and then on Sunday morning, Mother would take us both to Skate Lab, an indoor skate park in Simi Valley. That's where my clone lives, by the way, or lived. I don't know if she still lives there. And I think it's also around the location of Ron Goldman, my former husband, Ron Goldman's grave. I've never visited Ron's grave, however. I've heard of it. At the time of the murders, I didn't even know. I had wiped him from my mind. That's how I dealt with my trauma. So I didn't even know. I didn't even think that I knew him to visit his grave, you know. I mean, not that you have to know somebody to visit their grave, but you know what I mean? I didn't understand how intimately he was in my life. I just blocked him out. Didn't even know that I knew him anymore. Okay. That was during the time of the murders in 1994. James had become really interested in skateboarding too, or so I believed. I was always better at it than him, though, and I liked it that way. This was the way every weekend during my Mother's Week, and this was the way every weekend. Okay, this was the way every weekend went during Mother's Week, and I had the time of my life. Wow, so you don't need a nice big house to have the time of your life. That's great. I'm glad that your mother provided that experience his mother provided that experience for him. I was so interested in skateboarding that I took my skateboard trick-or-treating for Halloween. My costume, of course, was myself as a skateboarder. We went to the Limelsons for a nice dinner and then set out to collect our candy. It was quite tricky to hold a bag full of candy while skateboarding, but I had fun. I remember some teenagers seeing me on my skateboard and saying, "Why didn't I think of that?" Ha, that was gratifying. Okay. Oops. For Christmas, my mother bought me the new PlayStation 2. I had been wanting it for a long time, and when I unwrapped the present and saw the box, I felt so elated. Beforehand, the only video game console I played was the Nintendo 64 and the Game Boy, and if that counts. Of course it counts. The PlayStation 2 was much more advanced in graphics, and it amazed me. When my mother announced that I would have to share it with my sister Georgia and that I can't keep it in my room, my excitement turned to indignation, and I threw quite a tantrum. Oh, so he throws tantrums now. I mean, I knew he threw one when he thought that they were going to give Georgia his room at his father's new house. But that was the first mention of a tantrum, but it's becoming a pattern. Okay. After crying for a bit, I calmed down and settled to sharing it with Georgia. She wouldn't be using it much anyways, I told myself. Even after getting a PlayStation 2, I still played my Nintendo 64 a lot because I love the games I had for it, and I had an emotional attachment to it. That's interesting. Emotional attachment to an inanimate object that enables you to have experiences you enjoy, games. Okay. The Nintendo 64 was the first video game console I played, and it would always have a special place in my heart. Wow, that's weird, having a relationship with the Nintendo 64, a video game console. I think that's interesting. I don't think I would ever express it that way, ever in my entire life, having a relationship with a video game console. All right. One day during winter break at Father's house, Father and Sumaya went out for a few hours and left me and my sister with Tracy. Tracy being their new nanny, or, well, not new nanny, but nanny. When they came back, they had a little puppy with them and announced that it was our new pet. It was mainly a present for Georgia. Boy, Georgia seems to be the focus of the family. Why is that? Georgia had been desperately asking Father for a pet puppy for the last year, but I didn't think he would actually go through with it. I was so shocked that we now had a dog. I was always afraid of dogs when I was little, and I never imagined having one as a pet. The only pets I've had previously were my turtle and iguana, who both died within a year of acquiring them. Okay, well, you had pets, so... All right. She got one too, and it's the family pet. It's not all hers. Georgia was given the choice on what to name the puppy. Why is that? And she named it Lucky. That was the previous name of my kitty I call Wispy. And the vet told me, oh, anyone who names... I hate it when people name animals Lucky, because usually they're not lucky. That's what my vet said. Yeah, I don't like the name Lucky, and I would never name an animal Lucky. But he is lucky. My Lucky is Wispy. She named it Lucky. I thought that this was a very lame and stupid name. I agree. That doesn't take much imagination, does it? Lucky. Okay, where are we? Okay. When I returned to school after the winter break, I noticed that all the cool kids had another interest. Hacky sacking? What is that? It was a simple sport consisting of kicking a bean sack into the air as many times as you can without it landing on the floor. It sounds like he had already been practicing doing that with his friend, right? Secretly. They were into Beanie Babies, weren't they? So he kind of had some practice with this. I don't know. Let's find out. They all had hacky sacks, and they would spend recess and lunch kicking them with each other since skateboarding wasn't allowed on school grounds. I didn't have a hacky sack, and I decided that I needed to do something about that. Mother took me to the store, PacSun, where I got a hacky sack with an orange and green design. When we got home from the mall, I started practicing. I remember struggling with it first, but I spent the next few afternoons concentrating on getting good at it. I spent many hours well into the night practicing in my backyard. Wow, in the nighttime, huh? In the backyard. Once I was able to kick the hacky sack properly, I made a big deal of the fact that I was now interested in it. I would go up to the group of cool kids and show off my skills, and I played with it every single minute I spent outside during school time. Okay. The upper playground was rebuilt over the break, and there was a brand new playground to play on. I always loved brand new things, and the new playground was quite engaging. On the very first day that we were allowed to use it, I played tag with Philip Loser, Addison Altendorf, Bryce Jacobs, and a few others. I never really became good friends with the so-called cool kids. I would see them more as competitors than friends. During recess and lunch, I mainly played with Philip and his little clique, which consisted of Addison Altendorf, Kevin, and TJ Tassone. I made a few fourth grade friends through hacky sacking, though I forget their names. I mainly played with them during recess and lunch. One day, after I stayed an hour after school at the upper, wasn't it hacky sacking? Not hacking, sacking. He said hacking. I do believe that David is a hacker. When I was a child, yes. I was technically a hacker for the CIA. The CIA used me as a child hacker. Okay, my partner was Ross. We had to camouflage that we were American. We had to pretend we were Russian. Those Russian hackers, they're me and Ross and our team. I used to know what my nickname was from looking at the nicknames. I think I'm the baby somebody, right? They have different nicknames, and I'm the baby one or something, I'm pretty sure. And Ross was the other one. And, we neither one of us speak Russian or know Russian or can read it or anything. So we had some Russians, not from Russia, okay? This is what's tricky, okay? They were from a place called Vega. Now, there's a place called Vega that we refer to as heaven. It's an actual physical location inside the sun. I know that sounds wild and weird, but I'm telling you, it's true. When you die, not everybody, when they die, is allowed in Vega. Okay, in heaven. Not everybody. Some people get to visit temporarily before they move on to reincarnate. Others, if they achieve sainthood on earth, if they're not born in heaven, okay, you have to achieve sainthood to become a resident of heaven and live there as long as you want, forever and ever. I have done that, okay, with my impossible life. I have done it many times over. I have achieved sainthood again and again. So I get to, when I die, which I don't die. I mean, I do die and then I come back and I come back. I'm Do you think that I went out? Do you think that I was the daughter of a serial killer, as well as the longtime girlfriend of a serial killer, and they didn't kill me at least once, twice, right? I've been killed multiple times by my father, the Zodiac killer, as well as, you know, David, who is the true identity of Bryan Kohberger. Of course they killed me. I couldn't. More than once. Each person. My father, David. I think David probably killed me more times than my own father. My mother killed me a couple times too, or tried to. Yeah, and I did die, and then I came back to life. Okay, both my parents knew I did not. I don't die. I mean, I die and I come back again and again. My own grandfather, my grandpa Elliot, killed me. Okay, because he was upset because he thought I was, you know, he always looked at me as the grandchild that was conceived when he was still in. Well, no, not the the grandchild who was conceived before my mother, like the day before my mother's wedding to my father, Denny. And that was the story in our family. It's a fake story, okay? I'm genetically engineered, and I was conceived in a lab, in a test tube. I'm a test tube baby, and there are many of us, okay? That whole fake story of the first test tube baby, it's fake, okay? It's a cover. The test tube babies have been in existence before Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ was a test tube baby, okay? He was implanted in Mary, okay? Ancient peoples wouldn't have ever understood that, and so he was the child of God, okay? Yeah, so the story in our family, and it was a top secret story that I was told when I was a child, and then I forgot it because I block everything out. And then it was like a secret that they kept from me. They spoke behind my back because they didn't want Claire to know. Yeah, the story is that my mother, and this is a true story, I just wasn't conceived in this manner. Okay, they thought I was, but I wasn't. Okay. The day before my mother's wedding to my father, and it was in December of 1964, and I tend to forget that date, but it was in December of 1964. The day before, you know, my uncle Norm is 5 years younger than my father. So my father was 24 when he got married. My mother was he was 23, and my mother was 25. And Norm was 5 years younger, so that would make him like 19 or something, okay? And he came, you know, into town. That my parents got married in Palo Alto, California, despite my mother claim. No. They got married in Mountain View. I'm sorry. It's just a lot of information. I shuffle it around. My parents got married in Mountain View, California. Not Palo Alto, California. My mother, in her obituary, claims that she was married there. She forgets, or she wants, I don't think she forgets. I think she just doesn't. She wants everyone to affiliate her with Palo Alto, because she always used to think that was so elite and more impressive than Los Altos, where my parents lived up until they bought a house in Palo Alto just before my brother's birth in 1968, okay? Before then, we lived in Los Altos. The doctor who delivered me also lived in Los Altos, so it was a really nice area, but my mother was just so concerned with superficial things and wanted to appear as elite as possible, as you know, it was it was a matter of prestige, and my mother was so silly about things like that. Yeah, so I'm sure she knew. I mean, maybe she had believed by the time she wrote her obituary, and she did write her own. I've confirmed this. She wrote her own obituary. I knew she had. I know my mother's writing anywhere. She might have believed. She might have like brainwashed herself into believing her own lie by then. Maybe, possibly. I don't know. But you know, she got married in Mountain View, California. And it was December 1964. And the day before the wedding, you know, when all the family had come into town, little Uncle Norm, my mother was concerned. She wanted to have a blonde baby. This is my mother, okay? This is the issue I've always had with my mother. She wanted to have a blonde baby. And my father was brunette with brown eyes, and glasses. And she didn't think she could have a blonde baby with him. But ironically enough, my father, Dennis, was white blonde until like age 13, till puberty. I mean, his entire childhood, he was white blonde until he hit puberty and his hair turned brown. And it's dark brown. I mean, darker than mine. I mean, mine is kind of like ambiguous. I was a blonde child, but my hair turned darker earlier than my father's. He was 13 or 12, 13, yeah, somewhere in there, when it finally went dark brown, and he had to have glasses all of a sudden. His whole look completely changed overnight when he hit puberty. It's kind of strange. And you know, he looked like, you know, that sitcom, not Leave It to Beaver, Dennis the Menace. That was, Daddy created that. That was inspired by my father, Dennis Wayne Elliot. And that's how he looked when he was a kid. He was white blonde, with the dark brown eyes. He was a brat. He once, I mean, my Uncle Norm always talks about how he wired, you know, they had some lawn furniture that was metal, and Denny once wired up the metal chair and got Norm to sit in it and shocked him. You know, I mean, this is how Denny was as a kid. He was Dennis the Menace. He is Dennis the Menace. And he was a really cute kid, okay? And then he hit puberty, and he got, I don't know, less attractive, let's just say, as he got older. It's really weird how that happened. I don't know what that was about. When I moved to LA, my grandma Elliot connected me up with a cousin of ours, and Matusik, I think is the last name, and she showed me some photos, and I showed her some the wedding pictures, my father's wedding pictures, and she was like, "Who's that?" I'm like, "That's my father, Denny." And she's like, No, that can't be. She did not recognize him. He looked totally different. You know, she never saw him as a mature teenager or anything. She had only seen him as a kid, and he was really a cute kid. And I saw the look on her face. She was like, "What? That's the same person?" You know. Yeah, I know. It was, I'm like, "Yeah, that's him." And she had no idea. She did not recognize him. He looked like a different person from like adolescence on. And maybe that had an effect on him. Maybe he was a little angry about that, because he was really cute, and he got less and less cute as time went on. All right. I don't know if this was meant to trigger me to go into that, but hacking. Yeah, he intentionally said hacking, and I was talking about myself as a child. I was, I'm a well-known hacker, apparently. I don't remember code now, and I just know I went back to school and discovered I was pretty talented at it. Okay, I don't remember anything. I didn't learn in a traditional way. I learned the advanced stuff, from Ross, and on the go. I was really talented. Okay, when we were, back when I was a kid, I was really. I was given special projects because I was so talented. Nobody else could do it like me. And everybody had a specific talent. And I don't know what my talents were. I was just really good at, I don't know what it was that I was really good at. But there was a specific talent that I was so advanced in. And, no adults, nobody could match me. So that's like one of my greatest talents, code. But I'm blocked, I just don't want to go there. I go to school and I'm really talented with logic. I'm really good with logic. And that's what code is based on. And, it's connected to IQ. I have a really, really high IQ. I'm supposed to have the highest IQ in the world. I know I don't act like it. I don't know. I just know I have a really hard time with this world. And I guess this world is a pretty fun place for people with lower IQs. It's hell for people who are aware and, are actually have a really high IQ. These devils who think they're so smart, they're really, really stupid. Because anyone who enjoys this place, has to be really stupid. Really low IQ. Sorry, you might think you might be higher than the people who don't even know what's going on, and ignorance is bliss, right? But you're not that smart if you think this is great, or you're having a good time and it's fun to make people suffer and to steal and torment you. If you enjoy that stuff, you're mentally retarded. Okay, let me just be point blank about it. You're mentally retarded if you enjoy torturing, stealing. If you're a criminal, you are mentally retarded. That means a part of your brain is underdeveloped in some way or another. Some people are worse than others. Some people have like very little heart at all. Maybe you need a teeny weeny little bit of heart to be alive. That's part of your brain, okay? Your heart. It's a very crucial part of your brain. And if you don't have that, or if it's lacking, you are mentally retarded. You heard it from me. Okay. So, when I was a kid and I was encouraged to be a hacker, I was told it was for world peace. I was told, it was to reveal the truth that nobody can reveal because, we're all like bound by these stupid laws governing classified information. There are a lot of criminals who misuse these laws for their benefit, and they are in control of government, and it's disgusting. And so for the sake of world peace, I was hacking things so we could, make public things that should be made public. This is the part of the CIA that it's the good guys in the CIA, okay, that I was part of. I was not part. We were kind of technically breaking the law, yes. And I remember like telling Ross I was a little concerned about this, but he got the approval from Daddy, and he said, "See, Daddy says it's okay." And I was a little concerned because I've never been a rule. Yes, I break unofficial rules. Yes, I like doing that, to break through and to the truth and all of that. But I don't like breaking, the law. I've never been a criminal. I'd have to have a different brain to be a criminal, and I have been in other bodies with different brains, and I have broken the law that way. But in my own brain, I don't like to break laws. But I was told this was for the sake of world peace, that there was no other way. We had to get the information out to the masses, or that would be the end of our society, basically. We'd all be doomed. And that's the only reason why I did it. There was a lot of peer pressure, obviously, and I was very talented in things, and they depended on me, and that really made me feel important and crucial to the team. And I was a 8-year-old kid, you know, little whiz kid. But yeah, as an adult, I guess I understand things from a different perspective. But these people are from Vega, okay? They're not bound by this mindset we have on Earth. And so they break a lot more laws, and they get away with it because they are from a more advanced civilization. They can tweak things. They can, you know, they can fly under the radar, so to speak. You know, little old me from Earth, you know, I really am an Earthling, okay? I was born here. I'm not from Vega. I have interacted with people from Vega because you're only supposed to go there when you die. And I've died so many times that I'm kind of like, I kind of am like from Vega, but I'm not. I don't consider that home at all. I did not grow up there. Yes, I spent a lot of time there. Maybe I spent as much time there as I spent here. I don't know. Okay, I don't really know because there's no time in Vega. Okay, you know, you're in the sun. Every time is created by going around the sun. There's no time in the sun, and that's what gives them all a very big advantage over us. Okay, they can travel, you know, they can go back in time, they can go forward in time. They're technically ahead of us in time. I mean, if, you know, technically, I think, well, see, there's no time. And in reality, there is no time. Okay, there isn't. Everything is right now, vertical. In Nichiren Buddhism, that's what they teach, vertical. It's not a horizontal timeline like we think of here. I mean, this is why we suffer so much. I mean, you don't age in Vega. You can be any age you want and prefer to be, but you don't age there. You know, you only aging is optional. I mean, the kids, they grow up and become adults, yeah, but I guess, you know, I don't understand how. It's hard because I was born on Earth. It's hard for me to understand that. Like how a kid can, if there's no time, how can a kid grow up in Vega? What, they just manually grow him up or her up? I don't know. I really don't know how it works. But anyway, I know I've gone all over the place with this, but hacking, yeah, he put that in there intentionally. He misspelled the word hacky. So I would start talking about that time in my life when I was a child, when I was a world-renowned hacker. As an adult, like I said, I discovered my talent, and I was remembering about my past and all of that, but I have just stopped. I mean, even now, I could make a decent living, you know, in computers, you know, being a software engineer. There are training programs, you know, you can become, you don't need a degree, a bachelor's to become a software engineer. That would be a natural career for myself, and it would enable me to be independent, work from home. I mean, I could do that, but I mean, first of all, it would take a lot of time. It would take a lot of practice and study because I'm starting from zero. I took, you know, a couple languages in college, and it was I never went forward with it. It was, you know, it's really hard, computer programming. I'm talented. I've got the logic down. I don't have to work at that. But learning, you know, a computer language is really hard. It's really hard. It takes a lot of time and effort. And yeah, I could put in the time and effort and have a great career and never have to worry about money again, right? But I guess there's something that stops me. I don't want to be accused of hacking anyone, anywhere, at any time, because I'm not a hacker. That's not something I would ever do as an adult. You know, I could see things from a mature adult perspective here on Earth, and I would never want to be part of the criminal operation that is those Russian hackers. I would never do that today. But I was tricked into doing it as a kid. And it was the CIA we worked for. We did not work for Russia. Okay? That's very important that everybody know. Putin was not in on that. You know, he doesn't even know I mean, now he does, because he knows about me, and he's read my writings, and he knows it was me and our operation. But, you know, he also knows it's a CIA operation from the United States, and that it was never Russian. And he knows that it's the CIA trying to make Russia look bad. You know, it's the CIA that causes all our problems on Earth. This whole problem with Russia, it's CIA created. It's not Russian created. You know, everybody's mad at Putin and Russia. And yeah, Putin, you know, I don't know. I guess he's in a rock and a hard place. He's forced to play a role. He has no choice but to play. I don't know. I just know that we entrusted him with a lot of my money, because we knew we could trust him more than we could trust the U.S. government. And I guess the CIA wants to get their hands on that money that's controlled by Putin. Putin doesn't touch it because he has honor and respect, right? He's from, you know, he's old school. He has honor and respect, but nobody in our government does. And that's why we had to, you know, he's one of my genetic fathers, I believe. And we had to entrust it to someone, and it certainly wasn't going to be Trump or our government. I mean, the money would be gone if we had done that. So it was Putin. And, our government's so mad at Putin over that. It's like, well, you know, at least Putin has the honor and respect to protect my money. And he's going to give me my money. He's not as bad as you know, it's just a CIA operation, a different CIA operation to make him look so bad. And yeah, I admit he makes some decisions I couldn't imagine making. I mean, it really seems like he's the villain, and I mean, he's killing innocent people, and he thinks that's okay, but I guess he's calculating, well, okay, I'm killing innocent people so that the world isn't blown up. I don't know. It's better than billions of people. I don't know. I don't know how he justifies killing, you know, innocent people in Ukraine. But something that I've become aware of in recent times is that Ukraine kind of represents me, and Russia represents the CIA. Something like that. Is that right? They've been, yeah. I guess he's carrying out some weird-ass plan to tell the world what's going on. But, you know, nobody knows that he has any affiliation with the CIA. I mean, nobody knows. They just blame him. But I think that's what it is. Ukraine is like me. And Russia is like the CIA or something, and he's like he's at war. You know, it's like the CIA is at war with little old me, little old Ukraine. CIA, leave me alone. Why are you doing this? You know, I'm innocent. What did I ever do to you? You know, oh, but you have riches that we want. Sorry. They were born to me, okay? I know you're used to, like, just having total control of this money that I was born into. Before my birth, you were just having a field day. But no, now that I'm born, now that I exist since 1965, that money's mine, plus a whole lot more that I created out of that money as a little child prodigy, and all the money people have added to the pot when they die, because to honor me and all that I've been through, because they know who I really am. You know, leave me alone, CIA. Just like you need, you know, Putin needs to leave poor little Ukraine alone. The CIA needs to leave me alone. Right? Okay. You know, nobody can speak publicly, so they have to start wars to, like, communicate what, you know, the truth. You know, this is the problem. You know, it is criminal to abuse classified information, you know, the laws that govern classified information, it is morally, ethically, and it's criminal to use our U.S. laws to protect you inside, you know, to protect yourself so that nobody knows the crimes you're committing. You know, it's wrong for criminals to use the laws that govern classified information to get away with their crimes. It is wrong. That is not the purpose of classified information, the laws that govern classified information. Crimes cannot be classified. It is not legal to classify a crime. And that's what my classification is, a crime. So I can't be classified because I am the victim of a crime. The fact that I was even classified was a crime. The fact that I was illegally mislabeled a threat to national security, me, a 9-year-old girl in 1975, that is a crime that needs to be corrected, rectified, exposed for the world to see, and the people responsible need to go to prison for the rest of their lives, or for a very long time, or until they croak over and die, like Larry Shaw, who did this to me. He's in his late 70s. You know, go to prison and die, Larry. Please. Leave me the hell alone. You know, you have your daughter Vanessa. She's gorgeous. She's a model. She's an actress. She's world famous. Are you happy? You got what you wanted. Everybody thinks she's the very first all-American fortune baby in existence. They don't know the true story. Okay, they don't know the true story of Kozen-Rufu thanks to you. You've obstructed Kozen-Rufu. You've obstructed world peace on earth. Are you happy? Are you proud of yourself? Bravo! What a bodhisattva of the earth, obstructing Kozen-Rufu. Yeah, that's what hacking opened up for me. And David knows this. Okay. Let's move along. I need to read this damn thing before Monday, okay? I need to get through this document before Monday. This is my deadline. Okay. I hope I have spoken all that I need to speak. Okay. I was hacky sacking with them, and I kicked my hacky sack up onto a roof. Okay, so I made a few 4th grade friends through hacky sacking. Though I forget their names, I mainly played with them during recess and lunch. One day, after I stayed an hour after school at the upper, I was not hacking sacking. I was hacky sacking with them, and I kicked my hacky sack up onto a roof. It wasn't first hacky sack. I don't know if that's correct. This is how he wrote it. It wasn't first hacky sack, thank goodness, but I was quite fond of it. It wasn't my first hacky sack. It's a typo. He left out I'm pretty sure. It wasn't my first hacky sack, thank goodness, but I was quite fond of it, and I was sad to lose it. I wonder if it's still up there. No, it would have been cleared away by now. All right. I still refuse. Cleared. Claire. That's what my name means in French. Claire translates into clear, and bright, by the way. Clear. It would have been cleared away by now. David, referring to me. I know. Oh, Claire, you're so narcissistic. I'm sorry. Okay, I've been in obscurity my whole life, okay? I don't think I would have survived if I was narcissistic, because everybody sweeps me under the rug and hides me. I've been in, and I'm really fed up. Okay, I'm 57 years old. I'm fed up. Give me a break. Okay. All right. I still refused to have any play dates when I was at my father's house due to the incident with Sumaya in 4th grade. Because of this, my father and Sumaya became concerned that I didn't have any friends. I don't remember the incident with Sumaya in 4th grade. I know she was really strict with him, right? I remember that. Okay, he had plenty of friends, though. Sumaya forced me... Okay, this is getting stuck here. Okay, Sumaya forced me to befriend some of the neighbors' kids who lived just down the road. They would often skateboard outside their houses. I was aghast. The prospect of walking up to a bunch of kids who didn't know... whom I didn't know, it should be an M after whom I didn't know, and asking to play with them was terrifying to me. They were cool skateboarders, and that made it even more intimidating. Of course, I wanted to be friends with them and join in their fun, but I was too scared that they would think I'm weird. I have always been shy by nature. I have a little shyness myself. But I get over it because I've been forced to get over it again and again with the life I've led. Sumaya didn't understand this, and she gave me no choice in the matter. So she is rather rigid, isn't she? She sent me out of the house and wouldn't let me back in until I introduced myself to them. I tried pretending that I was playing with them, but instead I would hide in a quiet street corner. To my surprise, Sumaya somehow knew I was doing this, and she came to confront me. She then got Tracy to take me down to where the kids were playing and push me into it. Tracy went up to the kids and asked if I could play with them. Sounds so pathetic. I felt embarrassed and timid, but they welcomed me. Okay, good. I always had the subconscious preconception that the coolest kids were mean and aggressive by nature, which is quite true, and I was shocked that these kids were being nice to me and letting me play with them. After a fun afternoon skateboarding around the streets of Woodland Hills, I regretted not befriending them sooner. They went to Woodland Hills Elementary School, the school my sister would soon go to. A couple of weeks later, Sumaya forced me to befriend yet another group of Woodland Hills kids. The second group lived nearer to my house, and they weren't skateboarders. However, they liked riding bikes and scooters. One of them was a black boy named Lucky Radley, who I thought was very nice at the time. I found it strange that he had the same name as my dog. Yeah, it is a funny coincidence. He was a 4th grader, and he would later go to the same middle school as me, where he would become an object of my extreme jealousy and hatred. Really? Looking back, I can't believe I actually played with him as a friend in my father's neighborhood. Okay. In the spring, Uncle Johnny and the cousins came to stay at Father's house. Cousin George bunked with me in my room, and the two of us became instant friends. I hadn't seen him since my last trip to England, and back then we were little kids. I enjoyed having a friend to play with on a daily basis without having to arrange a play date, and the week that they stayed with us was great fun. I once took him along to play on scooters and skateboards with the neighbor kids, and we also went to the beach a lot. Indeed, it was a great week, and I was sad to see them go. I looked forward to seeing him again when we were to go on our vacation to France and England in the coming summer. After Johnny and the cousins left, so he was an uncle. Oh, Cousin George. Okay, it was Cousin George that bunked with him. Okay. After Johnny and the cousins left, Sumaya's mother, Khadija, came to stay for a few months, and I was made to share my room with her. Why not his sister? Because Father had converted 2 of the guest rooms into his office, and Tracy was staying in the downstairs room. Why wouldn't she have stayed with the female child, not the male? Why is that? That's kind of weird. I would think that if she's a woman, she would stay with Georgia. I had an extra bed in my room. That's probably why. So I suppose it made sense to them. I was a bit annoyed with this at the start, but I bonded well with Khadijah so I soon became okay with it. She was like a third grandmother to me. My mother attained tickets to the red carpet premiere Star Wars Episode 2 Attack of the Clones. We received 4 tickets. Georgia was old enough to go, and I persuaded Mother to let me give the 4th ticket to James. I was awestruck by the time the movie ended. I found it to be absolutely phenomenal. James and I talked about it for hours afterward. My life at school was starting to become, and by the way, Daddy, you know, Star Wars is the true story of Daddy's life, intergalactic life. He wrote the original Star Wars. I don't know if he continued writing the sequels. I'm not sure. My life at school was starting to become mediocre again, and I became frustrated with my struggle to be cool. Boy, he's really obsessed with that, isn't he? It's such a superficial thing. I mean, in school, I was my own person, I think. There were the cool kids, and I was not willing to meet the requirements to become a cool kid. I was too independent, I think. I've always been that way. So I was okay standing alone. I wasn't a cool kid, but I wasn't an uncool kid either. I befriended, I think, nerds a lot. I related to nerds, even though I wasn't the nerdiest of them or anyone. I guess the nerds are a little smarter, and I related to them more, maybe. But I wasn't exactly a nerd myself, so I don't know. I was kind of my own person. But when I reached adolescence, I wanted to attract the cute boys, so I had to kind of distance myself from the nerds to attract the hot guys. At least that was the way I saw it. And it was kind of a difficult transition when I reached puberty doing that. And you know, I always stood alone, though. I was the leader. I found a cute girl to be with, and I was the leader, and you know, I stood alone. I never was part of I was part of a group called The Crowd, but you know, they were kind of like a nerd group, honestly, and no offense to any of them. I think being a nerd is cool, honestly, but yeah, but not all the kids at school thought that. And so yeah, in middle school I was a member of The Crowd, and it was only because they had a cute guy who liked me that I ever joined. I didn't want to be part of the formation of The Crowd like somebody wanted me to, and so later she formed it with somebody else, and then I finally agreed to join because there was a cute guy who liked me. It was all about guys. It was all about boys for me. And yeah, in high school I kind of stood alone, and I had to date. My boyfriends were from other schools because I had thanks to my father, the Zodiac killer, doing all that he did to me, and all my male classmates being at my house all the time for that abuse of me. I had to go to I couldn't have boyfriends at my high school because my reputation was messed up, you know. I had a bad reputation, and I was a good girl, and you know, that wasn't me that, you know, that went through whatever it was that they put me through. You know, the guys were, you know, I know my fellow classmates were quite confused, but that wasn't me. That was abused, and they didn't even know if I was being abused, I guess, because, you know, it was the 1970s. I guess they didn't really understand that if that is being done to a child, you need to go to the authorities and report them. But in the 1970s, people didn't do that. I don't know, you know, it's a very different climate now, I mean, people don't get away with the things they got away with in the 70s, you know. Everybody blamed me. Oh, you're a prostitute, you know, a child. And I didn't even remember what happened. And it was done to me. I'm a victim. I don't know what you're talking about. You know, and all the guys, they'd be brought to my house and they'd get it. You know, I was given, like I said, before their arrival to my house, my father would force me to take my aspirin. I'm not sick, Dad. I'm not sick. Take your aspirin or I'll kill you. You know, I mean, he threatened me, you know, and I'd have to take this aspirin. I wanted to believe it was an aspirin, but I knew better, and it would make, you know, I'd try to will myself to not allow whatever it was to control me. But, you know, it was equivalent to ecstasy. It was a sex, drug, and, you know, it's very powerful. And, you know, I was a child. I was not even fully developed, and, you know, meaning, you know, mentally, and, you know, there's no way you can control how a powerful drug like that affects your behavior. But I tried because I had no choice. He made me take my aspirin before their arrival to my house, and so all my male classmates thought I was doing this naturally. You know, they thought I was some slut, you know, some whore. I mean, you know, it didn't always go well, but if I liked the guy, it went well for, you know, because I was under the influence of that, you know, drug. Anyway, it was very confusing for my classmates. Let's just put it that way. And I had to go elsewhere to find boyfriends because, you know, because of what was done to me. I couldn't, you know, yeah, I mean, guys at my school, I had a really bad reputation. And you know, I couldn't do anything to control that because it was my father's doing, the Zodiac killer's doing, and I had to go elsewhere to find decent boyfriends, you know. And I had a really good relationship, you know, with a couple. Well, I wouldn't call the second one the greatest relationship, but boy, did he capture my heart and break it in a million pieces over the years. Okay. Back to Manifesto. So he became frustrated with his struggle to be cool. Mm-hmm. I didn't have a regular group of friends who I always played with. I was like a nomad, moving from group to group, trying to fit in with each one, but never fully integrating. I feared that the cool kids didn't regard me as one of them, and even Philip's clique never considered me one of their core friends. Despite all of my attempts to be cool, I didn't feel as if the other kids respected me as such. I was still quite the outcast, as I always will be. Well, I didn't feel like an outcast. I just was my own person. I was independent. I was an independent, you know. I was approached to be part of the cool kids, but I wasn't willing to do what it took to be in the cool kids club, you know, or whatever you call it. You know, they had all kinds of group sex and pop pills, and yeah, I wasn't into that at all. No way, you know. But they had heard about me and they wanted me to join, you know, the boys. I'm not talking about the girls. The girls were like, you know, they didn't like me the girls never really liked me that much. It was the boys, the cool boys who wanted me to join. No, not into that. I'm not, no way, you know. I was a good girl. You know, I had to be forced, you know, that so-called aspirin had to be forced down my throat. I mean, I was tricked into taking it sometimes, and that's, you know, there are so many stories I could go into. I'm not going to. My classmates will tell those stories, and I'm not embarrassed. You can tell them all of it. Some of it's disgusting, you know. Life is messy, and I have no shame. It's okay. You can talk. You can speak freely. I give you permission. You know, I was just a kid trying to survive and defend myself, and, you know, I did what I did, and things happened the way they did. Okay. My social life changed somewhat when Mrs. Damart announced that we would have new seating arrangements in class, and the process of deciding on who sits where was up to us. Oh, that's terrible. That is the wrong thing for a teacher to do. You would think a teacher would not want people sitting with their friends so they would talk and pass notes during class, you know? That was very bad. Okay. Our class consisted of tables that seated about 5 to 6 people, and when our name was called randomly, we would choose anywhere to sit, meaning that anyone had a chance to sit with their group of friends. I didn't have a core group of friends, so I was thrown into a state of panic. Hi, Dean. Dean just made his way out of the bedroom. Originally, I was sitting at the table where Philip's clique sat, but all of their names were called before me, and I was booted from their table. At this point, I just chose to sit anywhere and ended up sitting next to John Joe Glenn. Matt Bourdier and Danny Dayani also sat at our table. These were kids who I regarded as cool, so I was content with sitting with them. I never really interacted with John Joe Glenn that much in the past. He was one of the biggest jerks of the school. Yes, that makes sense if he was a cool kid, right? All the jerks become the cool kids, right? That's why I didn't like them. I mean, no offense to anyone who was in the cool kids, part of the cool kids at my schools. Okay, so John Joe Glenn was one of the biggest jerks of the school, next to Trevor and Keaton. All right. We quarreled a bit at the start, but soon enough we started socializing, and I talked with him about some new games I got for my PlayStation 2. We became friends when John Joe suddenly asked me if he can come. Okay, we became friends when John Joe suddenly asked me if he can come over to my house. I felt happy that he asked me this. It would be the first play date I would have without my mother arranging it for me. That's really sad that he couldn't, like, make arrangements with his friends himself. This would spark a fun new friendship that would last well after 5th grade. The random seating arrangement next to John Joe was the best thing to happen to me in elementary school. Okay, so it ended up to be a good thing. I would think it would be very irritating for the teacher trying to teach her class when they're all sitting with their friends and passing notes and talking and distracted. But okay. Despite my struggles to be regarded as cool, boy, and my obsession with attaining such recognition, yeah, he was pretty obsessed, it seems. 5th grade was my favorite school year in elementary school. I played with more people than I ever did in previous grades. I was less shy. I wasn't a dork. And I had an awesome time learning how to skateboard and hacky sack. It was memorable. It was a memorable year filled with joyful experiences. There are a few typos in this document. Not too many, but a few. I didn't want the school year to end. Once 5th grade was over, I will have to go to middle school, and the prospect filled me with anxiety. My little innocent mind always looked at middle school as something far in the future when I grow up. I didn't want to grow up. I see. Maybe that's a key right there. He didn't want to grow up. Look at that. Look, oh, I get a big arrow when I do that. Okay. I was enjoying my life as a kid right at that moment. I didn't think about the future. Kids in my class told many rumors of middle school. Okay, by the way, when it was time for me to go to middle school, I was so excited. I was so excited. I was growing up. I was becoming a woman, and it was the boys. It was gonna be fun. You know, that's how I saw middle school. I wasn't. I mean, yeah, there's a little nervousness and all of that, but I was excited more than I was even nervous. So different from him, I guess. Kids in my class told many rumors of middle school life that filled me with fear and sent a shiver through my spine. Even through watching movies and TV shows, I got a glimpse of what was in store for a middle schooler. There was talk of girls and how it would soon be cool to be popular with the girls. Girls were like completely foreign creatures to me. I never interacted with them. I wasn't expected to. In elementary school, boys played with boys and girls played with girls. Yeah, it's true. To some extent. Yeah, it's true. That was what I was used to. That was my world. I heard stories of how boys are expected to start kissing girls in middle school. Such things overwhelmed me. I tried to dismiss it as much as I could and enjoy my life in the present moment. Yeah, see, I was excited by that. Oh, you know, I guess I was pretty experienced by then. I don't know. My school arranged a camping trip for the entire 5th grade class before graduation day. At first, I didn't want to go because I would be away from my parents for 5 days, something I was never used to. I was afraid I would get too homesick. Really? He's that attached to his parents. Okay. I always was excited by trips away. I don't know. I never spent more than one night away from my parents. Wow, that's surprising. On the rare occasion that they had to go out of town for a few days and left me with a nanny, I would cry at night. Really? Wow, really attached to his parents. Okay. My teacher, I wasn't like that at all. My teacher, Mrs. Damart, came up to me one morning before class started and persuaded me to go, saying that the graduation trip was something I wouldn't want to miss. It would be a once-in-a-lifetime experience, and after some hesitation, I agreed to go along. I forgot exactly where this camping trip took place. It was located at a special camping retreat somewhere in the forest to the north of Los Angeles. Okay. It was very secluded, a small village of cabins and tents surrounded by wilderness and hiking trails. For the trip there, I was just trying to think where that could be, north of Los Angeles. For the trip there, I decided to go with my friends Bryce and Charlie in a car instead of taking the school bus with everyone else. This was much more comfortable, and I was glad to have snagged a spot in the car with them. Okay. Everyone was assigned to groups of 5 to share a cabin or a tent. I was originally placed in the group with Charlie, Bryce, and a few others, but that group was given a tent to sleep in. Had he never slept in a tent? I was appalled by how drab and uncomfortable the tents looked. I wanted a cabin. Okay. So I went to my teacher and asked to be transferred to a group that was sleeping in a cabin. She placed me in a group of some cool skateboarder kids, including Michael, Sam, Trevor, Matt, and Steven. I felt a sense of pride to be part of this group. Okay, so he had never camped in a tent. I grew up camping in tents. My family, my mother in particular, thought it was cheating if you stayed in a camper or RV, or, she thought, camping in the wilderness was where it was at. And we grew up that way. We camped in the snow. It didn't matter what the weather was. We'd camp. We used to camp every year over the winter, apparently, or summer, spring, fall, whatever. Yeah. And we had land in the Poconos near where Bryan Kohberger is from in Pennsylvania. We lived in Princeton, New Jersey, and my parents purchased a lot on Lake Cobb Preserve. Yeah. And it was just a small little lot, and we were going to build an A-frame house there. But in the meantime, we camped, and, you know, they had little boats that you could use, and it was like a club. It was like you paid dues, and there was like a kind of a, I forget what we called it, but it was kind of like a I don't know, a place where you went when you got there, and you could sit inside. It was like, you know, a structure, a house. I don't know if I would call it a cabin. And we called it something, and I forget what we called it. And we would go there, and, you know, and then we'd put our tent up, and yeah, we dreamed of building an A-frame there, A-frame house, and it never happened. My parents got divorced before we ever got around to it. Of course, you know, I was 16 when they got divorced, or yeah, when they separated. And excuse me, I just need to, I hear Elizabeth talking a little bit. I'm just going to take a moment. Just give me a moment and I'll be right back. I promise. I won't take very long at all. I just want to see what's going on with her. Hold on. Okay, she's good. I'm gonna have to conclude pretty soon to take care of her, but she's okay for right now. I just want to make a little more progress. Ooh, I'm already on, is that 25? Yeah, 25. I'm getting there. That's like, it's not a quarter way, but we're getting there. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to be doing as many lives as I need to do to get this read, okay? Whether anyone cares or is interested, it doesn't matter. I really feel like I have a deadline on Monday, and it's related to me breaking through and having a life, okay? That's what I think. And so that's why I'm going to read this live, whether anyone watches, whether anyone cares. It's all right. I don't care. I just need to get this read. Okay. I was talking about Lake, what is it? Cobb Lake Preserve. Yeah, it's not Lake Cobb. It's Lake Cobb Lake Preserve, I think, in the Poconos. It's probably really developed now. It was, we got there. My parents, you know, bought the lot when it was just brand new, and there was only a couple of houses. There was like an A-frame house we really liked, and that's why we were going to build an A-frame, and it was going to be cheaper, the cheapest, you know, way to, you know, it was going to be the cheapest house we could build. And I just loved the A-frame. It was my idea to do, you know, I was the one that really liked the A-frame, and my parents did too, and my brother did too, so we were going to do that, but it never happened. Okay. Trying to see where we are. During the daytime on this trip, the whole 5th grade class participated in games, outdoor activities, nature hikes, and barbecues. It was great fun. Nighttime in the cabin was like having a sleepover with 5 people. And it was a new experience that excited me. Before bedtime, Michael Ray took out a magazine that had pictures of beautiful model women, and all the boys gathered around and looked at them. So even at the early age of 10, oh, they're only 10? I thought we had gotten beyond 10. I guess, yeah, we're in the 5th grade, right? I was 11 in the 5th grade, but I turned 11 earlier than most of the other kids in my class. So, okay. Because my mother kept me in nursery school for 2 years in a row because she thought that the kids, I was small for my age, and the kids picked on me too much. And yeah, I wasn't used to being around kids. I was used to being around adults, and kids kind of freaked me out. It's true. Okay, so she kept me in nursery school for 2 years in a row, and I was either going to be younger than the kids in my class or older, and my mother wanted me to have the advantage of being a little older, but I've always resented that my mother did this to me because I felt very awkward being the oldest and felt, everybody always wondered, there was always, I don't know, it felt like I'd been held back or something, or like I was stupider or something, because the older kids were always the kids that stayed back or something, and I hated that I was older. Anyway, I always felt like I should have been in the class of 1983, and yeah, I ended up dropping out in 1983. I was the class of 1984, but I dropped out in 83 to go to my local community college, which is Mercer County Community College. I think I accidentally said Princeton in one of my previous live streams. I meant Mercer County Community College. While my fellow classmates were still in their senior year of high school, I was in college. But I didn't even attend. I didn't even attend high school. And yeah, I told you that whole story, and I don't need to go into all the details. Just look at, I think it was the last live stream, number 3. Okay. So he's in this cabin with the cool kids looking at beautiful model women in a magazine. And so it says, so even at the early age of 10, boys were starting to be attracted to the female body. Of course. They're already starting puberty. I know 10 is kind of young, but yeah, already. It's the very beginnings of puberty are there. I didn't understand this. I hadn't yet reached that stage. Boy, I was obsessing over... yeah, when I was a child, I was obsessing over, even before, younger than 10. I remember... some of my friends showing me naked magazines, and I was obsessed with that when I was a kid. I was. It wasn't men, it was women, but that was when I was a kid. I don't know, I went through a stage like that, but I was younger than 10. I was obviously activated at a much earlier age than anyone that I've ever met or known, and so it was a different situation for me, I guess, but all right. So he didn't understand this. I hadn't yet reached that stage. He was a later bloomer than his friends. I pretended to be interested just so that I wouldn't appear uncool. All of those boys probably lost their virginity by 16. Damn them. That is not true. You don't know that. There's a lot of rage there, isn't it? Even at that young age. Well, I don't know. He's talking in retrospect. The trip ended up being so fun that I didn't cry at all about being away from my parents for so long. He was really attached to his parents. Okay. And finally, it was time to graduate from elementary school. Before the ceremony, our whole class watched a video full of footage of school life throughout the year. I saw a few glimpses of myself caught in the footage, and I felt gratified. My life at Topanga Elementary School was a blast, full of memorable experiences and wonderful times. Yeah. I dressed in a nice shirt with a tie for the ceremony. All of the 5th graders lined up and walked down an aisle through the center of the auditorium with the audience of parents and siblings on either side. When I saw my parents, they looked so proud of me. Each student had to walk up to their teacher on the stage and receive a graduation award. We weren't required to give a speech. To my relief, I would be too nervous to talk in front of an audience. The graduation theme song was Time of Your Life by the band Green Day, one of my favorite bands. Whenever I would hear this song again, I would think about that glorious day, and the memories would make me feel an extreme sense of nostalgia. In the afternoon, there was a graduation party at the top of Topanga Community Recreation Center, a lovely place that provided a view of the whole valley. Sounds nice. My mother took me to have dinner at the sushi restaurant Kabuki. Afterwards, it was just me and her. As we sat down at the restaurant after all the excitement, I took a moment to fully ponder over the fact that elementary school was all over. It was done. I felt so accomplished and proud, and I was happy. Things were good, but along with that happiness was a feeling of sadness that I will be leaving all of those experiences behind. A whole chapter of my life had just passed, and a new one was beginning. That day was such an extraordinary day, a day to remember, a memory to cherish. Let me see where I am. Okay, let's read all the way to 11, and then I will end this particular part 4 of my live stream and resume after I've taken care of Elizabeth, okay? Because I hear her coughing, and I need to give her some cough syrup. All natural, organic cough syrup that really helps. A memory to cherish, a day to remember. For the first few weeks of summer, Mother arranged playdates with various friends and acquaintances I made from Topanga Elementary, including Trevor Bourget, Matt Bourdier, Charlie Converse, John Joe Glenn, and Philip Blozer. It was interesting to have Trevor and Matt over. I never thought I would have playdates with them. Matt was one of the coolest kids in school. He was a skateboarder and a baseball player who seemed to garner respect from everyone. I envied him during elementary school, even when we were friends, and would deeply envy and hate him later on in life when I find out how much success he would have with girls. Why can't you just admire somebody? Why are you like upset that they get? Okay, so you want all his attention. Hi, baby. So you want all. Just seeing what you see. Okay. Hi, baby. Baby. Hi, Lenny. Yeah. This is Wispy. Wait. This is Wispy. He's my most affectionate kitty. He's the only boy kitty too. He's more affectionate than any other kitty I've ever had. Okay. And Elizabeth has actually gotten to a place where she allowed him to sleep with her. Not last night, the night before. I mean, she would like it if he would sleep with her again. He's always been walking on her bed and testing her, and the other, I guess it was last live stream, she was yelling at him. But she actually enjoyed him sleeping next to her legs not last night, the night before. And he did that. He snuck onto her bed and did that. And that's all he's trying to do is get close to her. And she liked it. And I have a little table next to her bed that he lays on, and she wants him to lay on that. She wants me to pull the table close to her bed so he can lay near her during the day or even at night. And I think it's so cute. He has broken through with Elizabeth. You heard the other day how she was annoyed by him, and then it was that night that he broke through with her, and now she likes him. She gets mad if he walks all over her, or he's very abrupt. He's very much a boy, unlike the other two kitties that are girls, right? In the house anyway. The outdoor kitties are boys also, but he's the only boy inside. Okay. So, yeah, so he gets really upset. Like, he doesn't admire, he wants to be part of the group. He wants to be part of the cool kids at school. And okay, so it seems like right now, as we're at this stage of his development, he hasn't reached adolescence yet. It seems like maybe his classmates are starting to develop ahead of him. But it seems like with adolescence becoming, reaching puberty, comes a lot of new rage or something. Like his hormones change him a little, right? As a kid, he's happy and content. He's not interested in naked pictures of girls like his classmates at age 10 and at the end of 5th grade. But but he wants to fit in, so he pretends he's interested. But yeah, it seems like the problems happen when he might. I mean, we haven't read that far yet. Sounds like it's puberty that, brings on new problems, and what used to be admiration. Well, he said envy. Okay. He envied him during elementary school, but it sounds like he admired him more than envied him, and then it became envy and hate after he reached puberty. I don't know. It's kind of interesting what puberty did to him, because he's still a kid, right? He's still a kid, and his childhood was wonderful, and then everything goes to hell. It seems. I mean, we haven't read that far yet. Everything goes to hell when he reaches puberty and becomes a man. Okay. Or starts to become a man. Okay. He was pretty young. All right. Again, I repeat that as children, we all play together as equals in a fair environment. Only after the advent of... Oh, here he is. He's talking about what I'm talking about. Isn't that weird? I have not read this. Okay, I did not know he was about to talk about the very thing I just spoke about. Only after the advent of puberty does the true brutality of human nature show its face. Brutality! Life will become a bitter and unfair struggle for self-worth, all because girls will choose some boys over others. The boys who girls find attractive will live pleasure-filled lives, while they dominate the boys who girls deem unworthy. I don't understand that sentence. The boys who girls find attractive will live pleasure-filled lives. I understand that much. While they dominate the boys who girls deem unworthy. So these boys who girls find attractive dominate the boys girls deem unworthy. So that's the thrill. That's the pleasure-filled existence that boys who girls find attractive live. Like they dominate. Like that's what's pleasure for. Okay, let's move on. Matt Bourdieu will go on to live a life of pleasure. Girls will throw themselves at him. That's how I've described David, the true identity, who I believe is the true identity and know is the true identity of Bryan Kohberger as well as Elliot Rodger's. Girls threw themselves at David. It's really true. And I said that without having read this before. So girls will throw themselves at his pal, Matt Bourdieu. And I will go on to be rejected and humiliated by girls. Okay. At that moment in time, we were just playing together as children, oblivious to the fact that my future will be dark and his will be bright. Life is such a cruel joke. Wow. It sounds like it. For him. My mother continued to take me to Northridge Skate Park every Friday, and I also attended a skateboard camp at Pedlo Skate Park for a couple of weeks. At this camp, I bumped into one of the kids I played with around Father's house. I had been trying very hard to get better at skateboarding, but when I saw that there were boys a lot younger than me who could do more tricks, I realized that I sucked. That's terrible. I was never good at sports or any physical activity. And when I discovered skateboarding, I thought that finally here was a sport that I could excel in and even become a professional at. It crushed me a little inside to see that I was a failure at skateboarding after more than a year of practicing it. Only a year? I could never master the kick flip or the heel flip. All I could do was the ollie jump and ride down a few ramps. I saw 8-year-old boys at the skate park who could do a kick flip with ease, and it made me so angry. Why did I fail at everything I tried? I asked myself. My dreams of becoming a professional skateboarder were over. I felt so defeated. I don't know. I think those 8-year-old kids had some adult or someone had instruction. Somebody taught them how to do those things, right? I mean, it's okay. So after a year, he was 10, right? It was almost 11, right? And he had been studying for a year since he was 9, almost 10, right? What's the big deal? Okay, so you didn't learn those things. You could, but you have to keep going. You can't give up. So what? Maybe that was a blessing in disguise. It would make you work harder to learn those things and get better than those younger kids. They obviously had some kind. He didn't even start practicing when he hadn't even started skateboarding when he was 8. So, when you're younger, maybe it's a little easier. I don't know, but he hadn't even discovered skateboarding until he was 9, almost 10. So he should give himself a break. He puts a lot of pressure on himself. So he felt so defeated at this point, and he's almost 11, and he's already feeling so defeated in life. Wow. Because of this, my interest in skateboarding slowly faded away during the summer. James had recently told me that he was no longer interested in the sport, so I no longer had him to skateboard with anyway. I just decided to forget about it for the moment. Okay. James's family moved to a new house in Malibu. The house was owned by the Limelsons, and they were staying in it temporarily. Mother took us there a few times when I adventured with James in the wilderness area that surrounded the house. We would often go to a small plaza in the center of Malibu. There was a playground there with a few shops and restaurants surrounding it. Okay. It was time for my 11th birthday. I was at Mother's house and just decided to have a small play date for my birthday. I invited James over along with another kid who I had befriended at Woodland Hills Recreation Center. My mother made a small cake. I blew out the candles, and that was it. I was 11 years old. Okay, and this is where we're going to take a break, and I'm going to resume after the break. I'm not going to put you on hold. I'm just going to end this particular live stream and continue on to live stream number 5. Okay, and I'm going to get this done. I'm going to get this done as soon as possible. I'm on page 26, is it? I think that's 6. It's hard for me to read, but I can see 6, I think. Page 26 of 141 pages. I'm going to get through this thing, okay? And if I don't finish it today, because I'm not able to get through it very fast for some reason, reading it out loud and going through all the things that it brings up for me. But no, I'm going to get through this as much as I can today, and then I'm going to finish up tomorrow if I don't finish up today, and I don't think I'll be able to finish up today. So I'll see you in live stream number 5. See you in a little bit. I'm thinking, okay, so it's 10:22 a.m. On the East Coast today here in Augusta, Georgia. Let's say it's going to take me a couple hours to take care of Elizabeth, and I got to walk my dogs, and I'm thinking I need, okay, so yeah, I hate saying 2 o'clock. Yeah, I don't want to say 2 o'clock because I hate that number, okay? Because it represents a person in my life that I do not want to encourage. Well, I mean, I want him to do as much good for me as possible, and I appreciate anything he can do for me to help me in my cause, to have my life. But I guess I just, I don't like showing my support of him because he has done nothing but hurt me. You know? I had so much hope and dreams for him and me at one time, and you know, all those hopes and dreams are shattered, and I just want him to know there's nothing left. And I want that known. So, number 2, done, over. I'm gone. Okay, just acknowledge, just know that. Do what you can for me. Do as much as you are willing to do, and I hope it's everything. Because I don't know what I'm going to do if... I don't know what I'm going to do with myself here. I mean, what am I just don't know what to do with myself at this point in life, you know? I just don't know what to do with myself other than, you know, do what I'm doing here, making content, just surviving and hoping for the best. Yes, I hope for the very best, but not, you know, we're over. It's done forever. I mean, at least for the rest of this lifetime. It will take another lifetime to, you know, nothing is possible this lifetime. Okay, just letting you know. All right. I'm on until, you know, the next one will be number 5, and I'll see you there.